Today we're going to talk to you about drying your clay. So there's a lot of different options. We're going to go through low cost, no cost, low cost, and then up to the more expensive options, and just have a chat to you about, why you would choose one over the other, and at what point you might want to invest in more equipment. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, Helen? Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to start off with no cost. How do you dry your clay without spending out on equipment?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's something we always discuss on courses when people are just starting out. And there's lots of things to spend your money on. Lots
Mhm.
of things to spend your money on, but you don't have to spend a fortune, or you can use the things that you've already got.
Yeah.
So the first one being your oven. If you've already
Yes.
got an oven, use your oven. So
Yeah.
what sort of temperature do you put your oven on to?
I normally say about 70 degrees C.
Yeah.
Let's see what that is in Fahrenheit so that we are speaking. So 70 C to F. What does that come out? So that's 158 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, and I usually, whatever it is, it's the lowest setting on my oven. I usually work
Oh,
on a
okay.
very low setting.
Yeah.
So I had a gas oven when I first started,
Uh-huh.
and I had a little tray. I would put my work on a playing card or Teflon, pop those
Yeah.
in, and even though it was a gas oven and there was a flame at the back, I never got a burnt card. And Teflon is obviously
Yeah,
designed to go in the oven.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, you can put it on low and dry quite a few things very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think a low oven is a great thing, to start with, to be
Mm.
honest. And there's no risk, you're so beneath the firing temperatures and the point at which the binder burns off. So you're not going to affect the piece, in any way. I
No.
mean, probably if you're below 100 C, that would be the reason we wouldn't use it much higher though is because of warping, isn't it? So you don't want to dry the
Yeah.
piece too fast, otherwise you might get it warping. So that's
Yeah.
why 70 and sometimes lower, isn't it? If something is prone
Yeah.
to warping, then you can take the temperature down quite a bit lower, like you say,
Mm.
and you
Yeah,
get it dry.
absolutely.
Just takes a bit longer.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the thing, because the other way of doing it is just to let it air dry.
absolutely.
So you're not adding any heat to it, you're just
Yeah,
letting the atmosphere dry it out. And in
yeah,
doing that, it will take a lot longer. So it might take overnight,
yeah, yeah.
but it's free.
Well, that's right, and it's okay, to dry it slowly, to be honest, is a good thing, from a warping perspective. It's just normally we want to crack on with our piece, don't we? So we want it to happen a little bit
Yes.
quicker.
I don't know about you, but I'm quite impatient.
Yes, just ever so slightly. So yeah,
Ever
so,
so slightly.
so I mean other places, so airing covered, maybe an area
Mm.
where it's slightly warmer in the house. So next to a radiator. I mean, I've actually put things, I've got like the radiators where they've got like a, it's quite wide and got like a
Yes.
vent on the top. So I put the Teflon, the piece on the Teflon and put that on there. Even a sunny windowsill, it's that would
Yeah,
generate a fair bit of heat, wouldn't it? So
absolutely. I
yeah.
do I do have a warning about windowsills
Mhm.
and balancing things on radiators. I know you've got dogs. I've got cats. My
Yes.
cats would think that's a great game to knock them off. So I don't do that.
Well,
The
my dog,
oven they can't get to.
I was going to say my dogs will probably just try and eat it, I expect. So
Yeah,
different
so
problem.
beware of any pets you may have that think it's a
Yes,
great game to play with your pieces of clay.
definitely, definitely. And then the other thing that we were talking about before we started this video was the hot air box. And this is something
Yes.
back at the beginning of silver clay. So I don't know, back in the 90s. This is how people were drying their clay. So and Helen, you've recently been on a course where it was used, haven't you?
Yeah,
Very
yeah, it was
experiment
really
and a complete
exciting.
picture. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us all about that.
So I've heard of using a hairdryer before,
Yeah.
and so you would have your piece of clay um, somewhere secure that it wasn't going to get blown away by the hairdryer, because that's
Mhm.
a key thing. But if you
Yes.
have it on low,
Yeah.
you can dry your piece like that. So if you've already got one, again, no cost.
Yeah.
But this was very exciting. So at Cinta 2024, at Suko, one of her classes, she had a box with a hole in that the
Mm.
hairdryer went into,
Yeah.
and it was drying the pieces. And it's like, oh my goodness, I've seen it in the books, I've never seen it in real life. So it was amazing. It was a revelation
And just for
and
anyone who
very
doesn't know,
effective.
I was going to say, just for anyone who doesn't know, so Zuko is a very experienced and famous Japanese silver clay artist, isn't she? Yeah.
It
So,
is, yeah.
so she's still using that. Doesn't need any modern stuff. It's doing the
Yeah,
job and using it in
yeah,
courses as well.
absolutely. And yeah, it was absolutely fascinating.
Hmm.
Let's face it, we've all got an Amazon box. If you've got a hairdryer,
Yeah.
Amazon box thing.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So yeah, you can make your own. And we are crafters after all. So,
You're
what's
making
not to
your
love about a box?
excellent. So yeah, so lots of ideas then, in terms of ways to get your clay dry, without spending a fortune basically, and particularly when you're starting out and you've got lots of other things to buy, it's a great way to
Yeah,
achieve the objective without spending a fortune. So okay,
absolutely.
so going up from like no cost, then we'll sort of talk about the things that cost a bit more. So we're going to go kind of like from lowest to highest. I think that's probably
Yeah,
um
yeah, I think so.
the cup warmer, the mug
Da, 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 da,
warmer.
da.
Yeah. So is yours USB?
It is.
Yes. So it's
So
USB
yes, it's
plug in.
I that's it just came as that, but I had a spare plug socket from my
Yeah.
phone,
Yeah.
some version of my phone, and it just plugs in. So I can plug it into my computer or just take it like that. Have you got a proper one?
I've got an on-off switch on mine. Have you got an on-off switch on yours?
I do. It's just a little there.
Oh, right.
It's
Okay. So
switchy
yours
on,
is on the
switchy
unit.
off.
Yeah. So exactly the same.
Yeah.
So one has got like the hot zone is here. I think that just lights up when it's on, just to
Yeah,
show.
you've got a flat patch. So this has, you can
Yeah,
see it's
yours.
got a rim here.
Yeah.
So when I'm using cards,
Oh, that's a bit.
um, I just chop it up. So
Okay.
sometimes I will get a card, and if I don't want it to, it can't be. Some of these can get quite hot, so it's useful not to have it on directly on because it can warp it. So I just balance it on there.
Good idea.
Or if it's something that's fine, I just chop the cards up
Right.
and I could fit a few pieces on.
Yeah.
And even when I first started teaching, I would take this and just chop cards up and
Yeah.
have them here. Managed to get
Okay.
quite a few.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my one's flat. So, but then saying that this is the only area that heats. So,
Yeah.
so you've got to be quite careful to make sure you're hitting that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah. So the cut wall, I mean, loads of people use these, don't they? They're just,
absolutely.
and
And
again,
bizarrely, I've got four other
I was gonna
USBs.
I reckon you could chain it or something. Maybe you can chain them together and have a whole bank of cup warmers. You could have them in a class, couldn't you?
Yeah, they'd be like they're taking over the world. But yeah, I mean, you could if you had a small class of four. You could even get one each. But
I think some people do, don't
the
they? Some
yeah,
tutors give their students a cup warmer each and
yeah.
do it that way.
And the other thing is, if you're going to classes, it's useful to take something like that with you because things like dehydrators can fill up quite quickly, and it gets confusing about whose is whose.
More to the point.
You don't want somebody pinching your piece.
No, not if you're all making the same piece and it's like, no, that's mine. No, no, that's mine. No. Yeah, yeah. I actually
How much was yours?
Oh gosh, I don't think it was very much. 10, 15 pounds maybe. I
Yeah, I
don't
think
think
mine
it was
was
very
about
much.
10, 12.
Yeah, it's
It was a
well,
long time ago.
yeah, this is the thing I can't really remember, but I don't think they're not hugely expensive.
No,
So
no,
okay.
no.
Okay, and then so going on from that, I mean, I guess what's commonly used is the dehydrator,
Mm.
so but then that's quite a step up. I mean, the cheap, you can get the ones on Amazon. In fact, I used it for years in the classroom and it was actually
Mm.
very robust. I think they're about £30 and it was the one with the stacking trays. It was a circular
Yeah.
one. I could adjust the temperature, so I could put the temperature from 70 down to 35. So that was good.
Mm.
Um, and the trays, what I could do is in a class, I used to like give each student a tray basically and just tell
Yeah.
them to put their work on there. And then that way that got around the confusion thing. So yeah, but then of course with dehydrators you can spend a lot more, can't you? If you get like the big,
Oh,
you know,
yes. You can spend a fortune. I
yeah.
mean, this, if I point to it with my, I think that's my dehydrator that I use.
Yeah.
Um, the top one is full of UFOs, unfinished projects.
What from you or students?
Hey, if somebody says, how long can you keep your clay dry? There's things I've had for years in there. But yeah, there's lots of different shelves, and yeah, again, I use the same as you. Have some sort of little dish to put things in, so that you don't get people's items mixed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how much mine was, but it was definitely less than 100. I didn't go crazy.
Yeah, I think yes, because I think yeah, those round ones were about 30. I think I've got one not dissimilar to yours, which was it was probably 70, sort of
Mm,
roundabout there. I think it's got about 8 trays. And then and what's quite nice is like if you're doing rings, because the thing is with the round one, you're limited by the tray and plus the heat's coming up through the middle, and that can sometimes
yeah,
make it quite difficult, to stack it. Whereas with
mm,
those, like if you were doing rings as an example,
mm,
you can remove the bottom couple of trays, can't you? And then just put the
yeah,
mandrels in on the stands.
yeah,
And so I like
absolutely.
those ones better for a class, certainly.
Yeah.
I like those ones better.
I was doing a ring class
Mm,
last weekend
yeah,
and took all bar the middle tray out, and then
yeah,
I had one tray that was full of ring mandrels, and
yeah,
our ring mandrels are actually on a metal stand,
yeah,
so there was enough room for everybody on the
yeah.
base and on the next one up,
Okay,
and that worked really, really well.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they're very light;
Yes.
they're not heavy to carry.
No, no, I think they're nice. They're nice, those ones. I mean, but then saying that the round one was also it was
Mm,
a workhorse, it's £30 and it went on for years, and I think
yeah.
if anything, what happened was started breaking the trays and the dehydrator was still going. So it's just like, oh gosh. And then but I can remember when I first learned you know, who I learnt with they had Excaliburs and the Excalibur ones, they're a few hundred
Yes.
pounds, so again, lovely and very durable. But so
I think
yeah,
they're about 200 plus now.
oh easily. Well, depending on whether you have a 5 tray, 4 tray, or a 9 tray
Yeah,
stuff, it's
yeah,
just and they've got these fancy controllers now, which is way too much for what we need for silver clay. So
yeah.
if you're into food dehydrating, then yeah, but you shouldn't obviously use it for both. Well, I don't think so anyway. I'm not sure I want to eat silver in my dehydrated whatevers, but that's just me. So,
Yeah, clean it between.
yeah, yeah. So I keep them separate. Okay, so then
Yeah,
there's the dehydrator, and then there's like other devices as well, isn't there? So some people
yeah,
use like crepe makers and slow cookers. I've heard of people putting stuff
yeah.
in a slow cooker. So if you've got
Mm,
any old kitchen appliances or you pick something up secondhand, maybe.
yes,
No.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen somebody use do you remember those takeaway warmers
Oh, what like hostess trolleys?
with
How
the
many?
little
Ancestrally.
with little that you put little tea lights under.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, like the
Yeah,
trays. Yeah, I'll get you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've seen
Generally.
somebody use that and it worked.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's another one. And you again your slow cooker. Um, you can put something in the bottom of the slow cooker.
Yeah, because
And
you
again, they're not expensive.
no,
They're
and quite
about £12.
often,
A
yeah, and
small, cheap one.
yeah, but you can pick them up. You can pick them up secondhand, can't you? Quite often, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking even a lot of silversmiths would have them for their pickle anyway, wouldn't they? A lot of people use
Yes.
a slow cooker for their pickle pot.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a multi-purpose as long as you put something, so the silver clay isn't touching the actual. If you're using it for pickle, you don't want to get it contaminated by
Yes.
residues. But
Yeah. You don't want to put it in while there's still pickle in there.
oh, definitely not while there's still pickling. No, but I'm thinking even if there's any residues left on the actual bowl itself, you just want to make sure it's on Teflon or a bit of grid or something, don't you, on the bottom? I guess, but
Yes.
it's the only thing I can
But
think.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen people use those as well. So, and I do like the whole idea of if you're not using something, give it another use,
Yeah,
recycle it. If you can get something, on marketplace or something in a charity shop, brilliant.
definitely.
You don't have to spend a fortune. You
No,
can get fancy things, but you don't always need to.
no, I
Lots of really
agree.
good ideas out there.
Yeah, yeah, and there's enough waste, isn't there? If you can reuse something, it's definitely worth doing. And I guess, I mean, just as we're sort of talking, I'm just thinking, why would I choose one over the other? I mean, I guess the dehydrator is being able to control the heat is
Mm,
a good thing because
yeah,
obviously some clays are more prone to warping, aren't they? Some designs are more
yeah.
prone to warping. So I guess that would be a reason if I was sort of saying, would I buy, a
Mm,
cheap slow cooker versus a dehydrator? Well, if there wasn't much in the price, I'd probably tend to go with the
mm,
dehydrator just purely so that I could control the heat,
yeah,
the
yeah.
temperature of it.
And
Um,
I think as well, one thing that I noticed yesterday, I was working in here yesterday and the dehydrator was on all day and I was getting quite warm
yes,
and the sun was coming in for a change. Who knew?
yes, yeah,
Had sun. So if I was just doing one or two things, I would go back to using this one
yeah, because it's a lot, isn't it?
because the amount of heat that was packing out was drying out the clay.
Yeah,
But for a class, that's invaluable. That's
yes,
perfect. But
definitely.
if I'm just doing things for myself and if the odd little thing, these
Mm,
are great.
yeah. No, I agree. That's the thing, isn't it? It always feels a bit of a waste to put a whole dehydrator on, if it's just
Yeah.
you, unless you're doing a lot of pieces, and you need
Mm.
a bit more space. So I tend to do the same. I've got my cut one more, or if I'm not in a hurry, I just leave stuff overnight and then come back to it the next day. But of course, the other thing with leaving it overnight is watching out for atmospheric. You still need to give it a blast in
Yeah.
something hot because otherwise, I mean, my studio it's it can be quite. It's not damp in here, but there's moisture in the air definitely because I'm in a barn. So
Oh, yes, of
you know,
course.
so it's even if my piece is dry, I would still use some heat to dry it
Mm.
before firing it just to make sure it was properly dry because otherwise the clay absorbs the moisture, doesn't it, from the atmosphere.
Mm.
So you've got to be
Yeah.
careful of that. And I guess the other thing is
Mm.
circulating air, isn't it, as well? I guess that's the other pro of a
Yes.
dehydrator is the fact that the air, it probably dries it quicker and more evenly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever used
Yeah.
your kiln
Definitely.
to dry things?
So I haven't, but I do know people that do at the
Mm,
lowest setting,
mm.
again between 50 and 70 degrees
Yeah.
Celsius. Um, but I have tried having my kiln on
Mm.
and on the low setting, and the alarm goes off on it, and
Oh,
it's the SC Paragon SC2 behind me. But the
yeah.
alarm goes off. It doesn't like it at all. It wants to
Yeah.
go higher, so it likes to take it up to 100 degrees and more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't like it. But I think the small Prometheus,
Mm.
a few people have said they've used that, and I
Yeah.
don't think they've had the same problems that I had.
Yeah, because I think because some of the kilns do have a drying program now, don't they? But I think
Yes.
kilns, you know, just generally they struggle to maintain a low temperature, don't they? They're
Mm.
much better at heating up high and then maintaining that. They're not so good. So I think there's quite a lot of variation at the low
Yeah.
temperatures from what I
Yeah.
understand. So
People would have to check, wouldn't they? They'd have to check.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's lots of options, and you don't need to spend lots of money.
Yeah,
You can spend a little bit of money, but
yeah,
it's working out with the options which will work best for you.
definitely, definitely. Okay. Right, lovely.
Yeah.
We're done. Okay.
Fabulous.
See you next time. Okay.